What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to compact sedans, the first model people tend to think of are Corolla and Civic. But Nissan has long been making their popular Sentra sedan as well. And today we're with the latest 2024 Sentra, which is refreshed this year with a new design as well as updated safety and more. So with these changes, how does this stack up against the Corolla? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, before we get into any of the exterior updates, which you're already seeing a little preview of, we do want to tell you about if there's anything new under the hood. Well, there actually is not. So you're going to continue to have one powertrain for the Sentra. It's going to be a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It has 149 horsepower and 146 pound-feet of torque.
All models have a CVT, and we do have new auto start stop this year, which helps you get improved fuel economy of 33 miles a gallon combined as tested today.
Now, of course, later on in this review, we're going to go out for a drive and show you the performance of the Sentra model. We're going to get things like our signature sound level reading. That way we can compare to those rivals such as Civic and Corolla on carconfections.com. But let's not waste any more time. Let's close up the hood and take a look at everything Nissan has done to the exterior. So when you walk up to the 2024 Sentra, you can probably tell right off the bat that this does have some updates to the front end design. Sentra has always been kind of a miniature version of the Altima, and that follows suit because the Altima was just refreshed, and now we have a very similar face here on the Sentra. What that means in practice is that the grille itself is going to be substantially wider. So the V-motion used to be kind of in the middle. Now it's going to expand all the way out here to the outside edges. We have a full gloss black finish here on the sporty SR trim level, and then we also have a darkened chrome here on the sides. And then over here you do also have a little accent, but you'll notice there's no longer any LED fog lamps. Now, speaking of lighting, let's talk about the headlights as well. These are slightly updated for 2024. You do start off on your lower trims with a halogen headlight. When you choose the SR though, you will get LED reflector headlights, and this also has the further option of adding LED projector headlights. Now, as we walk around to the rear design, the updates here are going to be a little bit more subtle than the updates to the front end.
That's not to say there are no updates though, so let's go ahead and dive into those. Now, really the only thing that's going to change for the 2024 refresh is down here in your diffuser area. Since we have the SR trim level, we have the sportiest rear diffuser, and new this year we're going to have this black finish with a slightly different design. I do really like the way this looks. Additionally, we're going to have an exposed exhaust outlet here on the left side. Now, additionally, since we have the SR trim, we also have a lip spoiler for that sporty look. And let's go ahead and check out the tail lights and see if all the elements are LED for this refreshed model. So we do have an incandescent brake light, incandescent reverse light, and incandescent turn signal indicator. So unfortunately, Nissan has not updated the tail light design. I would have really liked for them to put at least some elements as LED for the 24 refresh. But overall, I think the rear design looks really good on this Sentra.
Now, of course, no refresh would be complete without some new wheel options, and that is the case for the Sentra. You're going to have different options between 16 and 18 inches. The SR will come with the largest option, 18-inch alloys. We actually have an available wheel. This is a gloss black finish that costs extra, but the regular version of the SR does come with a contrast design, which I actually think looks a little bit better than this full gloss black finish on this optional wheel. Now, as we pull back here, we do have a nice gloss black finish on the mirror, and you are going to have standard blind spot monitoring across every version of the Sentra and heating here on the SR.
Now here at the side, you're once again going to find a very stylish look here with the Sentra. I think it's always looked really good, especially if you choose what we have with us today. This is the two-tone paint scheme. This is an available option on the SR trim level. And as you can see, we have a fully blacked out roof. In addition to the kind of floating element right here, it looks really, really good. And that's a pretty rare feature for this segment of vehicle. I also want to mention new for the 2024 model is we have an Atlantic gray color, which I think a lot of you guys will really like. So I'll go ahead and insert a picture right now. And not only is the paint color new, we also have some new safety features, which is certainly good for those of you who need to avoid other people on the road. So you're going to actually have Nissan Safety Shield 360 as standard equipment on all versions of the Sentra. So that's a new thing this year. So that means you're going to have 3 out of your 4 active safety features as standard equipment. The only one that you're not going to get standard is Adaptive Cruise, and that's on SV trims and above. So really the vast majority of models are going to have all of your safety gear. Guys, let's go ahead and see if there are any changes on the inside. But before,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's move on to the interior. First, of course, we'll take a look at the key fob. As you can see, this is the updated Nissan key fob, and you're going to find their intelligent entry system is standard on the SV and above. Remote start will also be built into the key fob if you choose the new weather package on the SV trim level, or if you choose the SR, it's standard. Now, getting inside the vehicle, there's not a sensor behind the door handle, so you just press that button there. That's going to unlock the door. And let's go ahead and take a look inside the interior. Now, as far as design changes, you're not going to notice any huge design changes, but there are some different things that I'm going to talk about as we go through the interior. First of all, I want to start with our seats and talk about material and color choices. So all your trim levels will come standard with cloth seating. As you can see, that is what we have on today's example. On the SR, you're going to have basically a two-tone cloth. So this is a kind of rougher cloth with the orange accent stitching. And then in the center here, we have this really soft kind of suede-like material that runs through the middle. And the bolsters are pretty thick to hold you in place. If you choose the SV with premium package, that's going to get you quilted leather. And if you choose the SR with premium package, that will get you a special leatherette. That will also upgrade you to power seats. As you can see, this is going to have a manual adjusting seat, and that is standard on all trims as well. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we've climbed inside, let's take a look at the overall cabin materials. So we'll start out with the door trim. As you can see, we have the leatherette material across the entire armrest, as well as the entire center section of the door trim with the stitching detail. Along the top part of the door trim, this is all a soft touch plastic. And as we move up to the upper dash, this is also going to be a soft touch plastic with that orange double color contrast stitching. Coming down to the lower areas, as you'd expect in this price point, these are going to be hard touch, but everything in here does fit together nicely and overall feels pretty high quality. Now let's go ahead and fire it up with our standard push button start located right here. If I press the button properly. Now that we've fired it up, let's first take a look at our gauge cluster. So as you can see, this is typical Nissan affair. Most models will come with what you see here, a 7-inch multifunction display right there in the middle where you can cycle between a lot of different kinds of information, and only the base model will come with a 4.2-inch display instead. And as we pull back to the steering wheel, we do have a nice flat bottom design here with the SR. It is also going to be leather wrapped. We have the stitching detail throughout. Manual tilt and telescoping, of course, but I do like that Nissan makes heating available to both the SV trim and the SR trim. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage next. This is something I'm very impressed with, and you'll see why when I open this up. We have 12 donuts inside of here. So at Car Confections, we like to do a thing called a donut test because that is our emblem after all. We want to see how many fit into a center console. And this fits a dozen, which means it gets the seal of approval from us. That's very uncommon for this segment. Corolla certainly can't accommodate that many donuts. Now up in front of that, you got your 2 cup holders, of course. You do have a nice pad up here for you to stick your phone. You can also option on a wireless phone charging pad as well. And then you've got some traditional connections in front of that. Pulling back to the shifter, this is going to remain the same this year. Just pull back for drive. You don't have paddle shifters on the steering wheel or anything like that. Then we go into reverse. You're going to be greeted with the standard backup camera, or you can also get an available around view monitor if you want a 360 camera. That's also uncommon for the segment. This version here, though, is just going to be your traditional one with active trajectory. We also do have rear parking sensors on board for the SR trim. And then back here, there's not an electronic parking brake, so you actually use the foot activated style right over there. Now moving on to this area, we continue to have a kind of Mercedes looking design with these round vents. And we do also have a dual zone automatic climate control system here on the SR trim. Very easy to adjust since you have nice physical knobs and buttons. Also, this goes up to the highest temperature I've ever seen. So if you're the heat miser, you're going to be very happy that you can actually turn up the heat all the way to 90 degrees. And no, I'm not going to do the dance. All right, now as we move on up into this area, we have our 2-stage heated seats, also standard on the SR trim level. And then we've got our physical volume knob for the audio system. So most models are going to come with a 6-speaker sound system. The SR can actually get an optional Bose sound system. We don't have it today, and we'll go ahead and sample the standard version. Overall, not bad at all. Actually, it fills up the cabin pretty nicely and has good bass. But of course, if you're really into audio, you will want to get that Bose sound system instead. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at this display and talk a bit about the technology. So you're going to have 2 different displays, 7 and 8 inches. Only the base model will come with a 7-inch display. Everything else will come with this 8-inch display you see here. As far as the software is concerned, it is the typical Nissan affair. It's not quite as up-to-date as the Altima, which has been upgraded to a newer system, but it does have all the features you expect to see for the most part, including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto abilities via a wired connection. You don't have built-in navigation, it appears, here on the SR. Up top here, all models will come with the manual dimming mirror. And we don't have a sunroof on today's more affordable equipped example, but you can option a sunroof onto both SV and SR if you want.
Now, as you might expect, the refresh isn't going to change much when it comes to the rear seat area of the Sentra. So let's just go ahead and dive in as to what you get with this model. We're sitting at 34.9 inches of legroom, 36.7 inches of headroom, which does place it pretty much right on par with what you get out of Corolla as well as the Honda Civic. It's not going to be like the largest in the segment, but it's certainly not the smallest by any means. Now, I did go ahead and bring our ruler because here at Car Confections, we like to give you all those measures that you might find useful. So behind Drew's seating position, he's 5'8", I'm 5'9". We're sitting at about 6.5 inches of knee space, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. I will also point out these seats are pretty soft and comfortable. You do even have that kind of like suede material even here on the back seat. Pretty much a nicer setup than what you get on most of the segment. Now, here in the center, we're not going to have any vents or anything like that. However, we do have a USB charging port, and that's actually standard on all versions of the Sentra, so that's a nice feature that they're including. And here on the SR trim level, we do have a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside. And then if you turn to your door trim, the door trim's also made of nice materials. We have a hard touch material on the upper part, but we do have a leatherette really going through the vast majority of the door trim as well as on the armrest portion. And then we have a little bit of bottle storage down at the very bottom. Now walking up to the trunk on the Sentra, there is a button underneath of the lid, so you just open it up like that. And then as far as the space in here is concerned, we're sitting at 14.3 cubic feet of cargo capacity. That is a very good figure for this segment of vehicle. I mean, this is a pretty small sedan, so 14.3 cubic feet is a good amount of space, that's for sure. However, if you need more space, I would recommend going to the Nissan Versa. And no, I did not say that wrong. The Versa actually has more trunk space than the Sentra, which that's a little bit weird, but it is what it is. I did go ahead and bring my tape measure as well so we could measure how much space there is from the rear seat area to the end of the cargo area. 41 inches of length. And then as far as how wide the opening is, we are sitting at 36 inches wide. Now, as far as other features I want to point out, the seats do fold 60-40 split folding, which is nice, is that it's not a single piece. And we do also have a spare tire integrated underneath of the floor. All right, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed 2024 Nissan Sentra. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration before we get our signature sound level reading.
And there's 60 miles an hour in this 2024 Sentra. So as you can tell from that acceleration, it's actually relatively quick. In this segment, you know, you have kind of a wide assortment of various levels of slow, you know, but this is actually not too bad at all. To recap what we said at the beginning, it does have a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine with 149 horsepower, 146 pound-feet of torque. Again, competitive numbers for this class of vehicle. And it gets it up to speed pretty good.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's a little bit more torque-rich feeling than 146 pound-feet of torque. I don't know. It seems like it pushed me back in my seat a little bit more than a lot of the rivals do. Now, this is the only engine option, so do keep that in mind. There is not going to be a Sentra hybrid or an upgraded engine option for the Sentra.
Yeah, that's almost 65 miles an hour right there, so not bad. We are going up a hill as well. So yeah, overall pretty good. I also want to talk about the other element of the powertrain. That is a CVT. This is the latest generation of Nissan's CVT. So one of the things you'll notice is that it does have that shift simulation. That to me makes things feel a lot more natural in terms of your driving experience versus the old versions that you may have experienced in the past, because this does give you that nice simulation when you're hard on the throttle.
Yeah, this vehicle is also going to be front-wheel drive exclusive, no option of all-wheel drive.
Now, another thing Mason talked about a little bit in the spec dump at the beginning was the fact that this has improved fuel economy because it now has an auto start-stop system. So if you're looking at my gauge cluster right here, you'll notice that it is powered off currently because we're at this stoplight. And I'll go ahead and let my foot off the brake and we'll see how quickly and nicely it restarts. Okay, overall that's pretty good. I think it's pretty smooth. It shouldn't be something that's going to bother you, but if it does, Nissan does have a nice button here for you to defeat that very easily. You don't have to go through any menus or anything like that.
Yeah, and as far as that improved fuel economy, I'll just go ahead and mention that again. You're sitting at 33 miles a gallon combined for this SR model here, which is a pretty decent upgrade in fuel economy. I believe it's either 1 or 2 mpg for getting the auto start stop on board. So I think a lot of you guys will appreciate that. Also, the 33 miles a gallon combined is a very good fuel economy figure, despite not having a hybrid version. And now that we're just kind of getting up to speed here, I do want to talk about your ride quality pretty briefly. As far as the ride quality is concerned, the Sentra is going to continue to have a pretty solid one for 2024. Of course, pretty much anything in this segment, when you hit a bump, you can feel some intrusion inside the cabin. I will say, though, it does a pretty good job of controlling it, even with the largest 18-inch alloy wheels here on the SR trim level.
Right, and the thing that really helps, I think, with this Sentra is the fact that Nissan's seats are certainly more comfortable than the average thing in this class. Some of them are very firm, but this does have the zero gravity seats, so they still feel quite comfortable even on their more affordable model. Let's go ahead and get this sound level reading. I am going 55 miles per hour.
Sitting at an official Car Confections sound level reading of 60.4 decibels. So that's a pretty decent sound level reading. However, I don't have to sit here and guess because we actually have all of our Car Confections sound level readings posted on our website. So I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and view all of this vehicle's competitive products and see how it places. And that does place this on the upper end of the segment when it comes to the sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. But I will just say, just sitting here, it seems relatively quiet. I mean, this is an affordable sedan, so you don't expect it to be like a library in here, and indeed it's not, but I honestly don't think it's going to bother most of you buyers looking to get a Sentra. I think it's pretty quiet overall. Now, I do also want us to just go ahead into one of our other signature elements, our airball and slam dunk. Drew, what's our slam dunk?
Well, the slam dunk has certainly got to be the exterior design, I think. The Sentra, honestly, has always been really quite stylish looking when they redesigned it, that is. The previous generations weren't, but this redesigned one, I think, is really nice looking. It's very handsome, and this 2024 enhancements only make it look even more handsome. I like the updated front end, the new badging, the updated lighting. I think it all makes it look modern and a little bit more expensive than some of the other rivals.
And as far as our airball is concerned, we would have maybe liked for them to update a little bit more inside of this cabin for 2024. They really didn't do much of anything when it comes to the interior. Maybe the larger screen from the Altima being on the higher end versions would have been nice to see, or a digital gauge cluster could have been a nice upgrade for the Sentra. And the last thing I do want to mention here in the test drive portion is the warranty. We do have Nissan Signature Warranty, 3-year 36,000 miles for your basic, 5-year 60,000 miles for your powertrain. Now, you might expect for a refreshed model that the price would rise a lot this year, and I'm happy to say that it really hasn't. The prices have only risen a few $100s depending on what trim level you choose. So we're starting at $20,630 this year for the base S model. And then as we go up the trim structure, of course, you do have quite a few different options when it comes to the trim structures of this model. You can see all the prices on the screen right now. And as far as this SR trim level, we're starting at $23,720, which is a very affordable price. Once we add in quite a few options, which is what our model has today, as well as accessories, plus the $1,095 destination, we're sitting at $26,850 as tested. Now, if you're a smart shopper and want to get the best deal on your new vehicle, the next place you should go to is carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, on our website, we have a tool that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you that best price, as well as access to invoice pricing information. That's a great tool for dealer negotiation, and if you'd like to take advantage of that, you can find a link in our video description. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the 2024 Nissan Sentra in its refreshed form. Hopefully you found this video helpful and insightful about what you're going to get with this refreshed Sentra, and if you did, we would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We do a ton of car reviews on this channel, and we also have a lot of fun, so you won't want to miss out. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.